what are the implications of banning e-cigarettes?
Given the argumentative nature when looking at the economic downfalls, future of e-cigarettes, health risks, and impact on society, the research leans towards the banning of e-cigarettes.
The use of e-cigarettes for reasons other than to quit traditional smoking has significantly increased over the last decade. Consumers are not aware of the large impact on health e-cigarettes can cause. Advertisements for e-cigarettes are presented on social medias known for youth usage, such as Instagram and Facebook. 16% of Instagram and 19% of Facebook users have reported to have regularly seen advertisements for e-cigarettes pop up on their social medias. This can be a very good reason as to why youth spending is very high on e-cigarettes, because the more you see an advertisement, the more likely you are to spend money on that product. Teens and young adults spend a severe amount of money on e-cigarettes and their products. A typical e-cigarette device costs around $10. A refill cartridge has to be bought weekly, which costs $14. Knowing that there are 52 weeks in a year, this cost can add up to be a lot. By the end of the year, $740 are spent on e-cigarettes and all the products that come with them. This amount may seem small when comparing it to traditional cigarettes, which are $8 a pack, and multiple packs have to be bought per week. However, because e-cigarettes are seen as a cheaper alternative, the younger groups automatically buy them more because they are seen as cheaper, but they end up spending more than actually traditional cigarettes are being spent. There's currently no federal tax on e-cigarettes. However, individual states are taking actions that could eventually lead to a ban. The picture shows the states in orange that have already implemented an e-cigarette tax. This e-cigarette tax does not only benefit the economy, but discourages consumer spending, which then decreases the amount of health risks that are involved in society. This would be a great first step towards an overall banning of e-cigarettes. However, the support from the highest officials in our economy would be needed to fully implement an overall ban. It would not only decrease spending, but it would slow consumer consumption. When consumer consumption is slowed, it buys time for researchers and scientists in order for them to fully understand the health risks and effects that e-cigarettes can cause, as my peers will further discuss.
In recent years, usage rates of e-cigarettes have increased drastically. In 2017, only 1.5 million people used e-cigarettes. In the span of a year, that number increased by 3.1 million. According to data and statistics, nearly 40 million U.S. adults still smoke cigarettes, and 4.7 million middle and high school students smoke at least one tobacco product, including e-cigarettes. Studies have shown that the usage trends of e-cigarettes will increase if nothing is done to stop the control these devices have over people. These trends lead to the increase of future addiction amongst e-cigarette users, especially in the youth. The rise of e-cigarettes in recent years has created major concerns about the health dangers of these devices, as Brooke will go into further detail later on. Nicotine can harm the developing brain and cause addiction. And these issues are irreversible and can have a huge impact on the future of these users, especially in the youth. Many teens are unaware of these dangers, which has led to an increase of the popularity amongst teens. When e-cigarettes were first introduced to society, researchers and doctors were unaware of what they had in them and the effect they had on the human body. However, as it became more popular, the truth became unveiled. There are many short-term side effects such as pain in the chest, increased heart and blood pressure rates, and a feeling of dizziness. However, the long-term effects are far more dangerous. These include extreme confusion, painful headaches, and severe lung illnesses. Researchers are unsure if the growing data of health risk and lung injuries are due to e-cigarettes. As the number of lung illnesses increases, so does the number of fatalities. In order to save the future of e-cigarette users, policymakers must implement stricter laws. However, younger generations will still find ways to get these products.
Many people believe that e-cigarettes can be a better alternative than regular cigarettes. However, they still have many health risks. As seen on this chart and also presented by the Center on Addiction, e-cigarettes contain many additives, many harmful substances such as many additives, heavy metals, nicotine, carcinogens, and many other toxins. When these harmful substances are inhaled, they create many long and short-term effects, as Natalie has stated prior. Going into further detail, the many issues that these can cause are lung diseases, cardiovascular issues, cancer, and addiction. A new lung disease called Ebola has caused thousands of cases and dozens of deaths. The symptoms of this include coughing, chest pain, fatigue, vomiting, diarrhea, weight loss, and fever. This shows that not only can e-cigarettes cause addiction, but other diseases that can affect one's whole life. The opposing side to this argument argues that e-cigarettes are a better alternative because they do not contain tobacco and have fewer toxins and carcinogens, which are the leading cause of lung disease and cancer in traditional cigarettes. However, e-cigarettes still have many toxins, as I've stated prior, and can cause many effects. In order to decrease this rise in e-cigarettes, society needs to be educated, as Kirsten will go into further detail later, and government regulations need to be set, as Natalie has stated prior. However, it is hard to educate all of society and get government support, and therefore e-cigarette companies could ban the flavoring, which is increasing the amount of teens that are vaping. The main limitation to this, however, is that adults may not be as opposed to the normal flavoring, and it will be hard to get those already addicted to stop.
There has been many more teens after age restrictions have been moved to 18 to 21 that have gotten more addicted to e-cigarettes, which can then raise their risks for lung or cancer problems. Just like Natalie said earlier, the long-term health risks of e-cigarettes can lead towards major lung diseases. E-cigarettes can cause many social behaviors just like fighting, attempt suicide, suffer from mental health, and depression. These behaviors can occur for anyone using e-cigarettes, not just teens but adults too. E-cigarettes are causing many teens to potentially get hurt by the actions they could do when they are using the device. A teen surrounding reflects on their actions for the future. Many students in grades 8 through 11 have gotten e-cigarette products from their friends. The Minnesota Health Department came up with a survey to show where most of their students are getting their e-cigarette products. These 11th grade students that are responding to the student survey show that the top ways that they are getting their e-cigarette products are from their friends, a vape shop, or on the internet. Nicotine isn't safe for the youth because it could possibly cause long-term damaging effects on their learning, memory, attention, and behavior problems, and also can cause future addiction. To prevent the long-term health risks, we need to educate society on the risks and the problems. Although money can be an issue because it would cost a lot more money to pay for teachers to teach the teens and adults.
As mentioned earlier in our individual lenses, the solutions we individually came up with are educating society on the risk of e-cigarettes, implementing a federal tax, banning the flavoring which is attracting many teens, and setting government regulations to reduce long-term health issues amongst the population.
Our overall solution would be to ban e-cigarettes as a whole. This would decrease the long-term health risks of society and help in the epidemic.
Our individual solutions of setting a tax, educating society, banning the flavoring, and setting government regulations will be difficult because it is hard to educate all of society, gain government support, and stop those who are already addicted. As well as that, our overall solution of a ban will be difficult because it takes a lot of steps before you can get the government support. It takes a lot of time to stop production, and also banning e-cigarettes would bring a rise in traditional cigarettes.
In society, it's one's personal choice on how they decide cigarettes will affect their future, their personal health, and their economics.
Okay, first is for you, Kirsten. How did the group decide to include Brooke's perspective, lens, conclusions into the overall presentation?
We all decided to include Brooke's lens of the scientific because it shows like the downfall of them and also the all the background behind them and how they are better than cigarettes, but they're also have many health risks to them.
Okay, thank you. Next is for Brooke. In the future, just kidding. Reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem that the group identified?
So Natalie's had the greatest impact on my overall, on the overall presentation because her lens of futuristic combines all of our lenses of economic, social, and scientific because all of those impact the future of e-cigarettes and of society. And as Kirsten's lens, the behavioral issues within society can affect those in the future in their own.
Thank you. Next is for Annie. What's an example of a compelling argument from one of your peers' individual reports that you decided to exclude from your team presentation, and why?
So after we all discussed each one of our different perspectives from our individual reports, we decided that we would actually exclude one of mine from my economic lens, which was insurance companies, because insurance companies only insure tobacco products, and after discussing with my peers, e-cigarettes are not considered to be a tobacco product, so insurance companies would not really be affected. Therefore, that perspective didn't really fit when combining all of our perspectives together.
Great. And then finally, Natalie, having finished your project, what, if anything, do you consider to be a gap in your team's research that, if addressed, would make you feel more confident about your conclusion?
After we finished the presentation and we were discussing all of our different lenses, we realized that not adding a political lens to our presentation was the gap, because having the political standpoint, because our final solution is to have an overall ban, which would need the political structure, and not having how that would be affected, having that in our presentation could make our overall solution and presentation better.